It really does depend on the map. I was expecting Clubhouse coming into this, so maybe we'll be seeing that. Here we are with...
Nope, can't be Clubhouse.
It's out Clubhouse and Consulate. Both maps that would be great for these two. Unfortunately, they are removed. Villa, Coastline, Bank out of play.
Could be heading to, yep, Cafe. All right, well, a good map for EU all around. So
all around, yes. Definitely, it's like Cafe Dost. It's like Coastline, Cafe, and then mix of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see more Cafe today. Like, it's definitely a good map for a lot of teams, and
yep.
I don't recall who might have played it Monday. That would be auto banned from playing it again today. But
on Monday we had Empire, so
that's right.
That will be banned for our next match.
So it will not be in the G2 versus Empire match.
I think this was done on purpose, like Clubhouse and Cafe removed from
play. And there's a strategy to that, too. It's something we don't discuss a lot is teams will purposely play certain maps against certain other teams to auto-ban it for the next week so they can strategically ban something else. It doesn't happen all the time, but it definitely happens. I know teams do that.
I think most teams kind of really focus on it, at least in EU, where I have my better contact, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the importance of knowing the schedule ahead of time, too, because they kind of plan out the season to an extent.
Because in this way, you know your matches ahead of time, a few weeks before it. Well, here we are, Vitality versus Chaos. What did you guys think? 62% for Vitality. Defense coming out strong. As per usual, you can vote on all of these matches. It's basically a popularity contest, but I mean, it's another thing to win, right?
I feel like Chaos show up a bit better on land than online anyway, so I would definitely agree with that vote, because Vitality generally show up pretty well online, at least during this season so far.
All right, so here we are loading into map number 1, our first matchup of the evening. For those that have been away and haven't been watching Pro League for a while, then welcome back. DreamHack Montreal happened. Raleigh Major happened as well. Everything was best of 3. Here we're back in online Pro League, and this is where everything is played in best of 1. Of course, Grand Finals in Tokonami, Japan will be best of 3, at least all of the matches.
Well, that's a different ban there.
Ooh, I like that.
Chaos. I got to imagine, though, then you have to worry about Valkyrie and Echo being in place. So those are the two that are really most affected by IQ not being available. And obviously, they're going to be exploited if they're not banned. So we might not see, the usual Mira plus
Cap, maybe,
whatever
second attacker.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty common these days, unfortunately, for poor Capitao. He gets slightly buffed and then, of course, hits the ban hammer.
I mean, he's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
He's just pretty good.
It's funny because it's not even like necessarily a buff per se. It was just a change in how his firebolts function. But there's a different ban, Pulse. And that is one that would have been also somewhat countered by IQ. Maybe not as much, because you have to catch him when he's actively doing something, as opposed to just spotting the gadgets. But
finally, Maestro?
No.
Yeah, okay.
Different M. Not a huge surprise, though. It's not maybe as strong on this map as some other maps, but it's still pretty useful. And it sometimes is also just you don't want to deal with it. But that leaves Echo available. And that, I think, is going to be a big deal. If a team doesn't play Echo here, I think they're making a huge mistake. Especially on this map. It is nice to have it, especially for that top floor, where, of course, everyone's going to go first. So we'll see that. And Vitolin looks like he's going to go for that first. Or does he actually prefer Veto now?
Veto. Yeah, it was a big roster change coming into the season.
Almost as strong as minus laxing plus laxing.
That's the NA meta, yes.
Well, we'll see the Kaid get snuck out there instead of the Valkyrie. Either one, good choice, but they want to be able to deny possibly the freezer walls, I imagine. We're also going to see the Dokkaebi 6th pick, too. And that always makes me wonder now, are they going to bring the smokes or the grenades? Smokes are pretty useful for planting on this particular site. Very strong for doing that, and they don't have a Jackal or anything else that's going to be bringing smokes. So I would think it's likely that he'd be bringing those, but a double set of nades from the Buck and Dokkaebi, still pretty strong. That could do a lot of damage. I gotta wonder, too, if they might try and save one of those EMPs, try and time it to stun a Yokai, since they can't spot it with IQ. Having an extra EMP to be able to do that, to be able to get a potential plant down without being denied by Yokai is pretty strong, especially if you can kill one early on and know they only have one left. Then there's a good chance they won't be able to just bring a second one over to try and stun you during the plant. Biboo's going to be pretty much on his usual operator there of Zofia, one he plays very well.
Yeah, it's usually the Echo or the IQ or the Zofia.
Well, can't be IQ this time.
You gotta have IQ to play Zofia, that's for sure, though. Well, we'll see Dokebi in play by Stiggy. Actually, a very scary Stiggy player. Dokebi player. Yes. Dokebi is crazy when she plays Stiggy. That's basically how good he is.
So. When Stiggy gets played.
Yeah. So he's not going to be played so far. Just sitting on the rooftop. Nobody going for the assault. Biboo watching out. Breaching charge is definitely the meta in general here for Europe, but for every single region, you want to have as much soft destruction as humanly possible without relying on soft destruction operators. I say that, and the Zofia and the Buck are in play, but you want to make sure that you have more flexibility, and having both the Dokebi and the Buck bringing grenades, definitely a bonus.
Yeah. Speaking of grenades, both impacts already used by Secretly as well, but he's got some goo mines kind of just lining Cigar, but obviously they're going to have a second entrance here now.
He's trying to fire into red stairs. Drone will find him. See Dokebi watching on the SMG-12. 2 drones are being lost. Flashbang right in the face Secretly, but he's going to dodge that pretty effectively. The second right into his face as he gets 1 kill, sprays for the second, but Spark is watching the cross angle. And that's a 1-to-1 trade. The Thatcher is taken away for the Legion. I think that's very much a tie when it comes to
absolutely, especially with what I said about the EMPs towards the end. I mean, that was the main job of the EMP. First off was just to open that wall if it was electrified. But secondary, they could start to remove a lot of gadgets. At least they won't have to worry about goos for that.
Yeah, what I am really scared about here is Renewals running the cut, but actually he gets dropped. For a lot of people that don't know, this Cigar corner is wallbangable, so you can shoot through it and hit any players that are standing in by the freezer.
It's a nice angle.
Yeah,
we saw it highlighted in a match earlier as well.
It's a very powerful angle, and you just can do so much work with it. And because the Qaid was down, you don't even need any Thatcher in play. Biboo actually stuns the stun actually hits the top of the railing and there hits him in the face.
Happens so often, Zofia's players stunning themselves, but it doesn't matter if you got the gun power to take down Crips.
He's got 1 kill. Nitro Cell's prepped with Renewals here. Not sure how many drones are left for Vitality. There were a lot lost just to kill the Legion in Piano. Renewals Nitro prepped. It's now on the floor and might just get shot out. ADS is gonna get destroyed close up.
Oh no.
The bar, and Plant will go, but Vitaline is trying to help out. Spark will get 1. Biboo on the refrag onto Vito. Renewals is low, but the diffuser's already been set. A tiny bit of damage taken as Redgroove threw in a pop of smoke. The last one possible is taken away. Now it's a 2v2, but look at Chaos. They're solo and HP. They've got the utility for close range fights. Unfortunately, their opponents are a bit further back. Just good post-plant positions from the duo for Vitality nowadays, Stiggy and Biboo. Renewals turns around, but he pops right into his teammate as Stiggy will go for the snipe, gets 1. The Zofia fires in for the second. Biboo takes out Renewals. And that's a very effective round for Vitality. Chaos tried to fight it back, but they found themselves cornered, literally.
And a lot of that was due to, it was appropriate that Renewals was the last left alive because his falling and allowing the freezer to be opened because of the angle you mentioned, that really cost them the round. Because the plant was a pretty straightforward push. You know, you open up freezer, you get in position to actually make the plant. The smokes couldn't deny it. The angles were working out for the most part for Vitality. But just not being able to deny that freezer wall is what opened all that up. I mean, yeah, red's going to get open. You're not going to be able to do much about that. But letting the Thermite be able to get that second one cost them everything. And I mean, you know that's going to happen to an extent. But he probably should have been better prepared for that angle on the freezer, because getting dropped like that, like I said, it's just he wasn't there timing-wise to be able to stop it. They're not going to have a Kaid this round because they're going to go to a different bomb site, but something to think about when they go to bar again, because they inevitably will. It is the best bomb site on this map at the moment, although some teams have mixed success on the other ones that can be better or worse. I'm still not a huge fan of Kitchen. I think a lot of teams struggle on it in terms of defense, but something that I think comes down to roam play as well, because your ability to control above the Kitchen, especially when Bucks are in play, for example, tends to be very important when they start playing in train, because the destructible floor is one of the changes that they made in Kafe that I think is most influential on the way the bomb sites play out. And I think part of the reason that Kitchen didn't get buffed as much as we hoped it would, we thought Kitchen would become a much more viable bomb site in terms of, like, you know, being a lot more playable, and a lot of teams were excited to play it when the map revision came out. But I think just not being able to control train above now has started to cost a lot of teams. They find good angles now where they can get nades in, for example, over top of reinforcements. Like nice tight angles they can use to bounce things, just ways they can find and pressure a lot of Kitchen. Reminds me of Kitchen on Coastline when it comes to pressuring from above in VIP. It's a similar sort of situation. And just, you can either control it or you can't. And without good roam play or retakes, coming out, say, for example, sneaking around from white, things like that, it becomes very difficult.
And Kitchen in general on Kafe is just, it offers you so many spaces to hide in and to be relatively safe from pressure from above.
But those also become traps.
That's very true.
Especially if Captail's not banned.
But how many times has it happened where defenders are trapped, but then they fight because they have indestructible surfaces around them everywhere in the kitchen? It's a position where potentially you can find many openings.
Well, that's where the Jaeger is that much more important, because stopping those grenades. But Spark already taking on the Mozzie, that's a really good early kill, because that's not only control of those drones taken away if there is any, but also that C4.
Yeah, Night Torcell is definitely something that would have wasted quite a bit of time and maybe a life as well. You see even a lot of corner checking with the Skeleton Key. We talked about this with Kicks. It's just the Skeleton Key is such an underrated secondary when it comes to actually getting kills.
Yeah, the ability to quickly switch between a long-range rifle and a shotgun, very underrated.
It just fires so fast as well. The damage output is definitely impressive. That's why you see so many people running it now. It days the Jaeger is found and is just dropped. Renault is on the floor, and you're going to get the kill confirmation in just a moment. That's Biboo. Turns around to watch white stairs. There's nobody coming in from the bottom side, though, yet from the garage. Vito is standing close up to the shoes, basically, where you would just have your coats and everything set back.
Keep them safe.
The mudroom.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not bike again, right?
Yeah. There's two bikes. What?
That's why I definitely call the other one mud, because you don't want to get confused.
Nobody calls it mud. That's the thing, though. But it's still technically mud.
Anyway,
Villa.
We'll get to Villa probably at some point today.
Maybe. Who knows? Vito still downstairs on the smoke. Not pressured just yet, but definitely can't be moving around too much. Redgroove hitting the leg of Stigi. Oh, and he turns around. Biboo will find him and the second onto Vito. The camera a bit too slow to switch to it. You see, as Biboo got the second kill, that's when the camera lit on up. And that was the real position where it's very difficult to push anybody out of it. But hey, you got so many rifles trained at it. There's one player going for the plant close up to the bomb, and you got three that are just looking and searching for where you are. It's only eventual.
Yeah.
And that's the round.
An unfortunate problem for that with Chaos is they weren't set up to really be able to fall back easily and then come back for a retake later of that upper area. I was talking about the roam play being somewhat necessary at the beginning of the round, and you saw them trying to play that. But this is old school Vitality in the sense of them slowly pushing through the map, taking down roamers, and unfortunately in this case, Chaos was feeding them to them trying to fight back. They needed to be set up with better fallback positions because Vitality was doing a good job pinching a lot of the players and just making sure that good drone play was catching a lot of them. They weren't able to escape, set up escape routes and things like that. You saw the attempt, for example, to try and fight back and reading from the Jaeger. Just was not happening, and that's a big problem for Chaos if they go to kitchen again. And that's what I'm saying is, if you can't control that middle floor, you could fall back to the kitchen or fall back to the bottom floor and then rotate back up, you can do okay. But a lot of times I feel like you need an early pick or two on the attackers to have enough holes to be able to go for that retake, or just hope that they make leave some openings there and don't have good flank watch. I mean, they're not bringing Gridlock or Nomad or anything to be able to actually control those rotations, and this is a map we do see Gridlock on somewhat frequently just because the ability to control those stairs for exactly that kind of scenario, those kind of retakes. But they are going to try bar again, having failed both sides. They can play wherever they want. We may also see a reading room from them as well. Probably not going to see Mining Dining, but there are still some teams that play it.
I don't know.
Not with a huge success rate, though.
I've seen it like once this entire season, even counting for like...
There was one team I think played it twice, and I think it was NA, if I remember correctly. Might have been SSG even. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, it didn't work out.
This is like the first week of Pro League in this season. People are kind of like trying to figure it out, or was it recent? I think it was... I'm not sure.
I think it was first half of the season I'm talking about. Definitely not anymore. I think teams have kind of been like, oh, maybe not.
All right, well, Spark has gone all the way to the top, and Stigi actually double tap Scripps. And there's not enough chips in that chat to help him out. Unfortunately, Stigi wins it out. Mark 14 doing work. It's definitely an underrated weapon. It's just that rate of fire. It's just, it locks. It seems like it locks up for a moment when you go for quick fire with it.
Click, 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 click.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Stop.
Reminds me when people used to run the DMR on Buck, and it was all about that fast trigger finger.
Yeah, because it really is super, super fast to fire. But nowadays, the Buck strats have definitely changed.
Interesting to see he's running SMG-12, though, instead of the CZ.
Yeah, actually.
So many people prefer the CZ for just its ability to actually hit shots as opposed to spraying about half the map in a single clip.
I think I talked to Stiggy about this months ago. We were on the flight back, and I was sitting next to him and Corey on the flight. And so we were just talking about, guns in general in the game because we're boring.
Always a good conversation in airplanes and
Yes.
airports.
Well, we had like an hour and a half delay on our way to Frankfurt.
At least you weren't talking about bomb defusing and stuff like that. That's generally not the play.
We're talking about the hacker.
There's a plane map, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but it was like, actually, he quite likes controlling it. It's some people just are like that. Like it still is preference. SMG-12 definitely has a place for it.
Not there because he loses that fight.
Well, he had already done the work. That's the first kill that was required for Vitality. The wall is open to the top floor. Everything is working well. You lose your flank with Stiggy. Obviously not a great thing to do, but hey.
That is some grenades off the board. I imagine he had some left in his pocket. But like you said, they got the job done here, and this worked out very well for them last time. They didn't even bother with the Kaid this time.
EMP will be thrown in case there's goo mines that are in the fridge or any bit of utility thrown in there. Maybe it can catch a yokai drone as the Echo is not banned, and here's the Valk. Spark lands one bullet and then the grenade to finish off renewals. That's the set clear. Gotta go in, gotta go fast. Biboo's watching. Hide will find secretly off on the cross, and Biboo gets closer and closer, unfortunately. Vito turns around and finds him. Spark with one. The second is spotted, but it turns to 1v1, and that's chaos. Red Groove turns around and smacks Spark and Hide in the face.
That crossfire there on the heaven side, on the other bomb site, just absolutely worked out.
That's a great... I mean, it's the SMG. It's the SMG-11. It's just sometimes you run out of ammo, but a great ammo conservation.
Sometimes I feel like the running out of ammo problem is only a problem when you're fighting multiple people at once, and that's what I call kind of a good problem. In that if you're slaying multiple people and you die because you can't kill 3, I think that's okay. But either way, not working out that time on attack. Now they do have to switch bomb sites. They're going to go back and try the kitchen again. I feel like Chaos made a smart decision in not over-pushing. They didn't, for example, have the Leash in that time committed to trying to fight the red wall being opened. And, of course, he was alive then a lot longer. The Valk getting killed, that was not the greatest situation. Of course, also losing the Jaeger early from Crips trying to push Stiggy wasn't the smartest, but they played a lot smarter back on there. And, obviously, that's where it benefited from the crossfire once Biboo tried to push in. And then there should have been a good enough call-out to know that the smoke was playing over there, and just pushing from the White Stairs side was not the play if you weren't prepared to pre-fire him a little bit more effectively. And I think some of that was down to time desperation as well, but smart adaptation from Chaos and playing a lot better that time, not trying to fight the freezer wall being open and instead assuming they were going to get it done, changing up their operator choices and just playing with that. So, but good on Vitality, at least making sure they got the things checkmarked. They just made a few mistakes at the end, giving Red Groove those kills. Other than that, I got to imagine they could win it, a third attempt if we do see Bargain.
The Dokebi pick earlier on, well, the pick that Dokebi got early on definitely helped just enter the building, not having many problems. But losing your flank and I guess Biboo lost one of his stuns as well. He had fired one stun into the toilet and the second into the freezer because he was unsure if there was still someone in the toilet.
Yeah, it did seem like there was a little bit of lack of intel towards the end there.
Yeah, so I guess that's something that Chaos have been doing effectively. I'm not sure how much of an effect Secretly has been having. Unfortunately, when it comes to Mozzie, he's such a highly technical operator that spotting the effect that he has on every round, either denying drones from getting closer to your positions or even capturing them, because these are the two things that he does, really. It's not just capturing them. It's difficult to quantify, and we don't even know when it actually does happen.
No, you're certainly not going to see a scoreboard of times drones can't go somewhere.
I'd love that. That's a
we need an abbreviation for that.
Times that.
I'm not going to try. I don't think it'd make a good one. You'd probably have to rephrase it.
Wait, I need to write it down.
You'll have it done by the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you so much for believing in me, as you usually do, Devin. But Spark is taking control of the train museum, and he's just going to be firing down. Nitro Cell comes up, and it does hit. Oh, beautiful from Crips. Man, that was Nitro worth the whole round. You go for a huge kill. Now this might force Qual to come in from...
Ooh, and they likely have 2 C4s left as well, because they've got the Valkyrie and the Mozzie still, so that's 3. And the Bandits one you don't always necessarily need to hit as well, so that's just a nice bonus.
Yeah, and that's the play that's happening here from Chaos. How do you defend this bottom floor here in the kitchen? You make sure you have extra Nitro Cells just to hold on to it. So not as much reliance on anchors. Really, you don't have like a Maestro combination with a smoke and such like some teams might be doing. It's just, hey, let's get Nitros, rely on information, use her Mozzie correctly with as well as the Valk.
You see why that Vitality banned Pulse now. Because they were worried about that play from down below, and that is the play here from Chaos, because they realized their roam didn't work last time. Let's play from below with a ton of C4, not try and over-roam it. And you see Vitality also bringing 2 soft breachers from above with the sledge as well, who just got a kill onto the smoke. A very important pick. SMG-11 versus SMG-11 there.
Fortunately, this round is coming to a close. At least there's nobody up close here to the bakery.
Bit of damage on secretly there as well.
Stiggy close to finding, oh, the back, oh. He's just so close to getting a kill, but unfortunately, there's just not enough space. Crips finds 2 actually for free on Biboo and Qual. 5 seconds left that he's finally taken out by Bride. There's a safe space for Bride to go and plant, but Redgroove denies it. Turns the corner and a bit too slow. Support from the back. That's the round. Wow, Chaos tying it 2-2. Evan,
he really made up for that last round dying early, didn't he?
Man, it seems like we have a game on our hands.
It certainly seems like this is quite a back and forth. I mean, things might shift when they switch sides, but it seems like we're seeing a lot of play and counterplay. Both teams adapting to the way the other one's playing, but Chaos in this case, I feel like adapting a bit more, because you had Vitality take the early 2 rounds, Chaos bring back the most recent 2. Now we'll see how the reading defense is, but they haven't shown that yet, so it's not going to be like quote-unquote adapting, but this is one that's a little more difficult than either of the other 2 bomb sites in the sense of controlling the top floor differently. Because, for example, the adaptation to controlling the quote-unquote top floor from that last one was have 3 C4s. Although, to be fair, Crips, after getting C4 killed, then just picked up 2 more with his MP7. But that being said, you have to control this top floor, and it's a split defense kind of situation. You're also going to have roam play to an extent. Vitality's not bringing anything to really control the roamers, but they are changing their lineup for the stack. They know what bomb site it's going to be, or at the very least, dining is going to be half the bomb site no matter which one they choose. So they're going to bring the Habana. That's going to give them some ability to open up hatches or lines of sight as need be, which is pretty good because there's walls that you can see there on Reading Room. Could be pretty important. There's walls, of course, as well on the upstairs that they might need to deal with, open up angles, depending on how those could reinforce, like Red Groove's doing right now. This is the first time they're not bringing the Thermite.
The Habana is definitely a very flexible operator, but I think it really comes down to Vitality expecting this side in particular.
Yeah,
because you just don't really need the Thermite as much as you need him on taking Bar. I think Bar without Thermite is much more difficult.
And they made that clear, too, the way they use the Thermite.
Yeah, you saw the effect that the Thermite had on the round, right? So it's definitely there. It's measurable, I want to say. But with this defense also comes a certain style of play, which means hold on to the balconies by Cigar, and more specifically, the new balcony that was added as well on the opposite end of the bar.
What we usually refer to as Heaven.
Heaven. Not to be confused with Heavens, one of the guys that, well, the ex-coach for Vitality and has been working for Ubisoft actually for a while.
I'm not sure if anyone was making that confusion.
Hey, maybe there's French fans out there because he used to coach Vitality.
Okay.
So, see? Come on, Devin, get on.
All right.
Reference game on.
All right.
Okay, well, Stiggy upstairs, breaching round will be used to open up a walkway into the fridge. Not sure if anybody's been drone through there. It's a bit of a hole, and Stiggy's unsure if this was opened by his opponents. No, it seems like it has been. Spark will drop down. You're in need of reinforcements. Stiggy spots a bit of a leg there in the back, but just not enough to find it. He needs some drones from his teammates, and he does have Biboo to give him information on the Legion. Oddly enough, that's Crips, and here's the second one as well. So a lot of pressure from Chaos on the top floor, which is as it should be.
Oh, that was nicely done.
Qual with the refrag still on Crips. Stiggy getting shot from below. Will be pushed out of the fridge for a bit longer, but he's around 45 HP. Sprays into the back, but there's a wall protecting. No, Redgrove actually is on the floor and taken away. Crips has already been eliminated, so that said, the top floor is now pretty much clear. There's still 3 players downstairs, and look at the amount of time that has been burned off. That's really the power of roaming the top floor. You're gonna lose it eventually.
And unfortunately, they lost the buck as well to put a lot of downwards pressure, so now they're having to open the floor with breach charges.
Yep, and this is the metagame now. We talked about this before. We're gonna continue to talk about it. Breaching charges is exactly what you require.
You can use a lifeline as well to open up some of it.
Yep, as much as you can. You want to have, this is not just for your entry on the site, but this is to hold on to it later once your diffuser has been set, which is something that Qual is attempting as we speak. So these positions have all been pre-planned and premeditated. Spots, oh no, the Maestro close to finding the headshot, but it's Qual and Bride to find a kill each. Renewal's up close as Bride's dropped to the floor. Diffuser's not set yet. He has to watch one angle, but he turns back at the wrong moment. The man with the diffuser already walked in, and Biboo is right behind to close out the round. Vitality, strike back.
I gotta say, we're seeing, I mean, they're not always winning these rounds, but we're seeing a lot of great coordination between the Vitality players on their attacks. They're really coordinated on those pinches, doubling up for each other, setting up for trades, and they're not always having to trade. A lot of times they're actually just landing the kill and just having the backup. And you see situations like that at the end where he's trying to decide who to even fight. And I feel like that's been a common situation for Chaos, is dealing with 1v2s very frequently, or situations where they're having to worry about a flank at the same time. And that, like I said, that having to split up on that bomb site, splitting up in general has just not been working out great for Chaos. A lot of the roam play just not working out. I mean, playing together almost with turtle style is, I think, been a little bit more effective for Chaos. And I gotta wonder, can they succeed on Bar a second time? Because yes, they did adapt and won it the second time. I'm sorry, not the second time, but well, I guess it'd be a second time to win. But this is the third time playing it. The second time they played it was when they were able to adapt and win to the freezer situation. But Vitality now are going to be expecting that as well. Stiggy going to be bringing the Ash again since it worked well for him last time. Just gonna kind of go in, I think, a little bit more guns blazing and try and soften things up. Might even go in to try and help pressure that Heaven side. We saw last time Biboo run in there, and I think that's common. We see that from Biboo a lot, where he tries to run in through that doorway, and it was just the crossfire that got him last time. If you can coordinate with, say, Stiggy pushing up from white stairs at the same time, or coming in through the white hallway around to the other side of Heaven and then pressuring it at the same time,
yeah,
I could see that working out pretty well, and there's not much Chaos can do to back that up.
You'll be cornered, and the end, if you use your stunts correctly with it, it's just the defense won't have much space to maneuver, right?
And that's assuming that, of course, both those players are left alive at that point and that there hasn't been a ton of fragging out before then. But if Chaos are going to play a bit back again like they had before, chances are there will be a bit more players from Vitality left alive.
So strategy will repeat itself here from Vitality. Obviously, you can tell they are planning things when it comes to operator picks. So it's the Thermite now.
Ooh,
back in play. Stiggy finds Crips as he goes out. Unfortunate, because this is the first time someone from Chaos attempts this peak, and every single time Biboo was solo.
When that's the second time in a row, too, where Stiggy has killed Crips through a doorway from outside.
Yeah. I mean, the only time Chaos go for a peek against Biboo on the rappel is the time when there's someone supporting him.
Yeah.
That's just so unfortunate.
You really got to pick your moments a lot better, unfortunately, for Crips. But, you know, I feel like he's been kind of expendable a lot of the time in terms of, like, if he dies early, it hasn't been a huge blow, but it certainly gives a manpower advantage to a team that already plays a lot of 2v1s.
Oh, reverse rappel. You can tell we're playing Europe here. And Renewal's good camera. It's going to be difficult to spot it out and take it anytime soon. And secretly this time has opted to play in Cigar instead of Piano. He'll be rotating back to that position. The entire point is to waste time at the minimum. And if you die whilst having deployed as many goo mines as you could. Unfortunately, he walks right into Bride, finds him as the wall had already been opened here in Piano. And that's 2 kills. The way of Vitality, looking closer for a 4-2 at the end of the half. But they got all the utility to go that way.
And that's the second time now secretly has died trying to defend Christmas. And it's not working out for him, and now they're down 2 players. Huge advantage for Vitality here. I feel like at this point, Vitality kind of have to throw this to lose it.
Blindside debris there, but Spark will rotate back as the wall has been opened. The MPX, couple shots rattling down into the buck, but it won't hit. The Valk this time is not inside of the fridge. The grenade is thrown into it. Vitality, oh, they find one. Red Groove has had to get out of that spot. Unfortunately, there's no way out of it without dying. Another one for Biboo as Vito is last alive. He'll be very vital for the round, but unfortunately, no yokai can save you. Vitality flawless, having taken minimal damage the entire round. Just, this is how you take bar 101.
And it's just, every time Chaos are trying to get aggressive, something they're usually fairly good at is being somewhat aggressive on their defenses and flexible. It was punished time and time again by Vitality, and that really comes down to that coordination I was talking about. They're not getting caught off guard, and you saw also the preparation, being prepared for a run out to cover Biboo, things like that. You saw the pre-fires when Buck would open up the hatches, immediately pre-fire. Vitality were being very careful, very good coverage for each other. There's just not a lot you can do to counter that, and I feel like they almost need to use a bit more gadgetry rather than gunfire to counter, but it doesn't matter because side switch now. So we'll see how Vitality does in their defense, but Chaos definitely showed some issues you could have. Interesting to see that Chaos is going to bring the gridlock, though, to cut off those rotations to make sure Vitality has to stay a bit more static on site here on Kitchen.
So I wonder how they're going to run the gridlock. Actually, where will they place the tracks?
Got to be at least one on each stairs to start with, and it's like, do you use the third one on brown stairs to stop those rotations? Or is it just more of a particular spot to cover a plant, retake strat, things like that?
I'm very curious. I think Vitality's play on Kafe is still not really cornered when it comes to viewing it and understanding how it would run on the defense. I don't think many teams have kind of explored the full potential of Kafe and don't really have a set metagame on how to play it. We might have an overall one of, okay, this is probably what you want to do, but usually each team diverges from the other in a certain way on specific maps. And in here, I don't think it's really showing. It's just Vitality on that attacking side. We're reading Chaos so well the entire time.
Yeah.
Crips will go up and check the bar, and there's nobody through there. So it might seem like those brown stairs are indeed clear.
That's the thing, is if you need to secure them, being clear early is great when you get those gridlock tracks to be able to throw there. Of course, if you are way out of earshot range when those are down, you don't necessarily get the same coverage of them because people can take them out. If you're not going to be hurt, or you can take them out early if it's in an easy to hit area with, say, an impact nade, and then just be able to flank later on. But we see where one of them is going to go is to cover an exit from the kitchen itself, as well as potentially cover, like I said, a retake strategy if they take into that particular doorway and don't want to be hit from behind.
It's an okay spot because the wall is soft and there's the doorway that's very clear. So if you're a defender and you... Wait a second. Did they not reinforce?
They left half of it soft.
Why?
Oh, Spark, though, with a great initial kill onto the Buck. That means soft isn't as bad if the Buck is gone, as now they would have to use the shotgun secondary on Gridlock to open it more, or I guess if Crips wants to use a remote breach. I mean, that might be enough to vault through, but...
Why? Biboo finds a kill on Crips, Red Groove 1 on Qual. It's a 3 versus 4 advantage for Vitality, but I really have to question that. I am definitely going to ask that question.
I got to imagine it's to help push back anyone trying to enter where Renewals is right now. You really deny their ability to safely enter it, but Spark doesn't do that. He's going to be shut down easily. And it was smart of them to leave the diffuser outside for that moment in case he got caught right near the hole with it. That'd be a pretty bad spot.
Well, Biboo finds one on Red Groove, and this is the advantage of having used the tracks earlier on. And yes, I agree with you. More often than not, soft walls, or at least ones that you don't even have to shoot through them. They scare attackers so much because it's so unpredictable. You don't know what the defenders are trying to do. Biboo finds at least one bullet to hit secretly, but that won't be enough. Need to hit one in the head. That's Renewals on his Tiggy, and he gets that one. 2v2 as Vitality's advantage starting to run out. 28 seconds left. Rede still has a Nitro Cell. He doesn't even need to use it here. He drops one player, turns around for the second, and Rede gets it done.
His patience just sitting there this entire time. You see the position he's holding, just not giving away his position. And that's the thing is, once the wall gets opened in Kitchen, it's all about angles. in terms of entering, in terms of trying to control the kitchen. And there's a lot of places to hide, like you mentioned earlier. A lot of things you cannot shoot through. Nice shot Thermite coming out there. But really well played by Breday in holding that spot.
Look, Breday, as a Thermite player himself, understands what you're probably going to be doing if you're a support player and you're carrying diffuser, right?
Yeah.
So he's the best player to kind of try and counter that sort of mindset later in the round. And that doesn't only apply to Breday. It's really any player that is so used to one specific role, they are the ones that know how to read it and predict it, how others would be running it, because you're so used to playing it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Biboo putting up the scoreline. That's what you're really expecting. 11-2.
Breday and Spark, they'll make it up for last time.
Everybody really showing up here. Qual 2-4. So he's been staying up, supporting his teammates. You see with 3 assists on there. Vitality at 5-2 pretty much are in the lead. But Chaos, how do they adapt?
Well, they go with the Nomad instead of the Gridlock. I mean, the Gridlock actually worked out, I think, pretty well last time because you saw the way he also used the smoke to try and help him on the coverage from Biboo, trying to play from that hole above when he was trying to enter into the side of the kitchen. Those kinds of things do matter, and having also the extra utility of that secondary shotgun, very good. Nomad doesn't have that same kind of extra utility that comes with the gun. It's mostly about the air jab and a decent gun to fire with, maybe a little bit better, depending on your preference, than Gridlock's main. But still, you don't get a lot of the extra utility. I feel like sometimes Gridlock can be a stronger choice, depending on how you play it, and especially on this map. I feel like it's a little bit better choice than Nomad, but we'll see how Secretly plays it out. Crips is going to try the Ash again as well. See if Vito can get things opened up quickly here, do his job on the soft destruction since they don't have that secondary shotgun now to help benefit them later on. Of course, it is going to be a different bomb site now, that Vitality when their bomb site. Now they're going to deny the stairs still with Nomad, but it's just going to be in a slightly different way. And again, it does come down to sound. Once again, both those flank denials are all about sound working in your favor. You need to be having someone nearby, but they don't have to be as hard of flank watch, but you still need someone near, or even just a flank drone that can hear it.
So, positive for Chaos. Thermite's on the board. You can use that. Unfortunately, there's no... You can watch the flank, as you said, with the Nomad, but everybody's been using this position.
That Claymore has been so useful for seasons now.
It's just...
Even in old Kafe.
Nobody sees it because it's hidden in the debris.
Red on red, too.
Unfortunately, even client-sided debris just makes it even more difficult to spot because you don't know what's going to be on the other screen. So...
Nice angles being set up there, of course, to defend later and use that ACOG to full advantage. But you've got to win those peaks to do it because that hole is going to be pretty predictable. They're going to be able to pre-fire it because it is going to be soft. But at least they are getting some positions down and some of the roamers downstairs so they could try and control those with the air jabs. But now it starts to come down to some firefights to actually get map control from here. We saw how good those freezer fights went for Vitality, but Chaos is going to have to try and do the same thing now.
Chaos kind of cooling it down here as they're trying to scout out their opponent's position. There's one player still in the bathroom, and that's a bandit with a shotgun. It's a very French way of doing things.
Always fun to see that M870.
Yeah, it'll be difficult to dislodge him. The M870 is underrated, to say the least.
It's a very strong gun.
At that range, it will do quite a bit of work. So that's exactly where the bandit's going to be sticking. Nitro Cell maybe in the back pocket. Biboo has not been pushed away, actually, at 28 seconds.
See, he feels a little bit trapped, but he's just denying them.
Oh, Breday unfortunately will fall, doing no damage whatsoever because he got killed with an even better shotgun. Siggy and Spark will find a kill each. They line up for Spark as he finds one more, spraying into the back of the buck. So low on HP. Vito and Secretly. Last two alive. They line up for Siggy. He finds one kill. And Secretly so low. He needs to go solo on time. He needs to go and go for the plant, but no, the trick! The Jaeger! Oh man, the 200 IQ!
The mind games.
I am just gonna lie down on the stairs, and the Nomad thought that she could catch. But no. Vitality, yet another round. Oh my.
And that was looking really good too. Vito was just killing him. I mean, the way he pushed into Biboo in the freezer, slide 2 in a row right there, but then getting dropped trying to recover the diffuser, that was the real problem. because, of course, that's where Stiggy played into that, took advantage of it. But, yeah, that absolutely could have been a win by Chaos, but the mind games on White Stairs absolutely worked out. And it was so close. So you saw him turn at the last second midair and try and take that shot. Because, I mean, hey, if he had been able to just hit ahead, still would have been able to win that. But that was the right play there. Was not continuing to contest it, just play smart. I mean, that was the right choice, though, to go for the vault there, because there was a good chance he was going to be down further. Just didn't work out. Vitality looking really good on that match point versus 2 points here for Chaos. I'm not seeing a comeback here be likely, but it's entirely possible. But it's just that Vitality are firing on all cylinders right now. They are playing their game. They're playing as a team. They're playing very solid. They're having a little bit more of a struggle, I would say, on these defenses. I think the rounds are a lot closer sometimes, but they have yet to lose one.
They're just so comfy on it. And the more we go forward, the more I believe this is affecting Chaos mentally. And it will affect any team. You're 6-2, and every single time you get close.
I think it's some of those attack rounds, too, like probably set the map back a little bit, like Crips dying early quite a few times, or
yeah.
I think it was Secretly as well, dying early a few times on Elysian, trying to defend. Like, they just had quite a few rounds where their attempts were really stunted. And that sets you back quite a bit mentally as a player.
Well, Crips is very well known for being a very efficient and effective Ashe. Is yet to really show up for the round or for the match so far.
Yeah,
it happens. You can't really be the spearhead unless there's really a spear behind you.
Well, it's certainly hard when Vitality are just playing very, very well as a whole team, as a whole unit. You can't really do much against that. Ashe is really good at singling out players and just pushing into them and taking them out in 1v1s. But if you're not fighting 1v1s, you can't win all your fights.
So, Vito has taken control of Piano. Might be opening things up for a bit here, but seeing that the hatch is reinforced, you need Renewals to support him. Usually everybody sets up in dining with the soft walls watching the back of it, but you have possibility for rotation. Unfortunately, Stiggy peeks around, and Vito will not find anything out of it.
This is burning a lot of time, though, against Vito, who is one of the stronger fraggers sometimes on this team.
A great spot on the Nomad there. It's a stolen drone that gives out information for Vitality. Biboo will find Secretly. That's just so perfect. Nomad shut down from below. It's down on the floor. Unavailable. Red Groove will get Qual. So close. Stiggy will go for the refrag. Oh no, the reload! But he drops down into the arms of Crips, who gets 2 kills off of it, pulls out the pistol. The Musok is just not fast enough. Spark gets the kill, turns into a 2v2. Vito and Renewals, the last 2 alive. Biboo still has goo mines that he can put all around the map, so great to have in close-up matches. And the trigger of the Nomad, that's just not great. It pushes him back away from the Claymore. It's just too far away for it to explode in his face, and kills Biboo, who will have control of the flank. And I'm not sure if Vito is aware of this so far. He's going to set up top to allow his teammate to go for a plant. And Spark just dodges and weaves between all the bullets. Runs back.
35 seconds left, too, to make this happen, and they're upstairs. Finally dropping down.
You hear the goo mine as well. It's slowing down Chaos just a bit further. 25 seconds left. Just now, the camera has been taken away. Spark has no nitro cell to use, so there's an impact grenade left on the Legion, who's moving right behind up his opponents. Spark has no info on where they are. He's going to need to drop down himself and fire into them. He has no info into A, but Biboo will find a kill. Last alive is the player trying to go for the plant as Renewals finds 1 kill. Spark so low on HP. Renewals on the Thermite. Knows exactly where his opponent is. He's going to fall back and hit it. That's the shot. The Renewals saves the day for Chaos as they realize that their opponents were too spread out to fight against them, and the Valkyrie had no line of sight onto dining. What do? Go in and plant. Beautiful play.
That was absolutely the right play. I mean, they struggled a little bit in terms of deciding where to go from there. You saw him trying to hit the shots, for example, onto Spark from above. Had he hit those shots, that would have been a much easier plant, but not knowing if he was able to actually do even a significant amount of damage to Spark, which he didn't do any, but you can't tell when you're hitting the bars like that. They just had to make a play at some point because time started dwindling. Vitality actually, with a lot of good pushback that round as well. Most every kill was traded back, so they brought it down to that 2v2, to where it was just, it seemed like Chaos couldn't ever get a significant lead. The Nomad itself, pretty neutered and ineffective, so they're finally going to switch back to the gridlock. But it's just Vitality almost saving that round, but a lot of these rounds have been pretty close for Vitality. A lot of them just barely saved by smart defense play. That round was definitely not one, but it's got to be 3 rounds in a row here for Chaos just to tie it. They cannot even win at this point. So it's got to be tough here. They're going to go in against Kitchen now. This was the primary, at least the initial bomb site for Vitality, which they did win on their first attempt. So it's going to have to be a better play here from Chaos this time. Otherwise, they're out, at least for this match. I don't think we're necessarily expecting them to go to Japan at this point, but
kind of difficult, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where that was a possibility, but that time has passed. Unfortunately,
I feel like we keep hyping it up more than any other LAN finals just because we're all excited about Japan. Like,
yes,
Japan is Japan that.
It's Japan. We've been to Brazil, and we really hyped up Brazil, didn't we?
Well, and Japan is like, I think, second or third behind Brazil in terms of crazy fan bases for this game, too.
Yeah, I think it's
good
like
crazy.
Brazil, Japan, and France.
Yeah.
It's like the 3 highest or biggest communities in Siege numbers-wise. So, yeah, everybody's pretty excited to go to Japan. Thousands of fans are awaiting, and a ton of okonomiyaki and yakisoba is awaiting us, that's for sure.
Coat check. Unfortunately, turns out to be a trap for Cripps' drone. It was good droning, but they read into it. And now Qual can play a lot more freely down there. He's played very good area like coat check play with Mozzie in the past, too.
Somebody should definitely alert the concierge.
Yeah, I think you're not going to get your jacket back this time. It's unfortunate.
Vitality at the cusp of victory here, potentially. And Bride running the Ella is definitely the out of ordinary play, I want to say. She's not really been played that often. Not really have been having much of an effect. Spark will be the first one taken out by Vito as gets dropped by the Christmas tree downstairs, and Qual destroying as much as possible of those gridlock tracks. That's why the tracks are so good. Yeah, Nomad, she just really does a lot of work for your team, but it really depends on the site and what you are trying to lock down. More often than not, just hearing the bullets from someone breaking the tracks is even better than being knocked back by the Nomad.
The upside for the defenders, though, is at least they can see the tracks.
So here we go. Grenade lobbed around the corner. There's nothing there to stop. I guess there was some mute jammers, or maybe there was a player that was set up close to it. Chaos, regardless, will open up the wall and we'll have a clean entry into the back of the site. Qual will fire off a bullet and will hit Red Groove, but it just won't be enough to take him much further down. Vito is just watching down the kitchen. So hungry.
This is a much more horizontal push than we saw from them last time. They're not taking as much advantage of playing from above. And that could work against them if they don't control above. But Vito just doing a stellar job. Unfortunately for him, his teammate drops the diffuser now. But good flank.
Good flank from Cripps, and secretly he'll find a kill each, and Biboo is last alive. He's cornered. And in the kitchen, ready to cook. Can you smell what they're cooking? That's what they say.
They're certainly playing with fire. Good push there from Chaos, just completely collapsing. They opened up enough with the thermite and just getting the angles that they wanted, but also the timing was there in terms of trades initially to get control of a lot of the kitchen. And like I said, it comes down to the angle play and just playing smart positioning. Chaos, however, had a lot more control, had a lot more angles, and had enough manpower from some of those early kills to be able to make it work. So we go back up to Bar for a second attempt here. They did manage to win it last time, but we also said the same thing about Kitchen. What are they going to do differently to really stop it? Is last time they just barely won the defense of it by hiding. I'm not sure they're going to get that lucky this time. And actually faking off of the Echo. Interesting choice. I got to imagine Sparks would be playing that Maestro in the usual position on Heaven to play those long angles. But that's what he was doing on the Echo, was still playing that same position.
I mean, it's still a very strong position, right? It's just maybe in the past the big problem was, oh, we didn't have enough ammo. Maybe we just wanted more coverage on the site.
It's maybe just not being able to push them back enough. With the silenced MP5 is not going to do nearly as much as the Alda in terms of denying their movement.
Very correct. I think on top of that, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but sometimes I may be, I know. Have Yokai drones done anything so far in this matchup?
I mean, in terms of denying defuses, no. Intel, probably. We haven't always been able to see it because they're not utilizing the pings a lot of times. That's usually where you're going to be able to tell is when pings start coming out. but we also haven't seen them necessarily do a ton of roam coverage with it, and that's where it can be really useful. But I gotta say, yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of these Echoes focused a bit more on terms of playing those angles and things like that, and just leaving the Yokai drones for a late round defuse attempt. But the thing is, the problem sometimes with playing that Echo there for the Yokai is they know where you're playing and they're gonna push you. Because if you're sitting there on your drone trying to deny a defuse plant, a lot of times that's the opportunity for someone like, say, Biboo, to rush in and get the kill on you. The only thing they had to stop that was the crossfire. But if you're in a position like that, that is the counter to the Yokai trying to stop your plan. Is just run up and shoot him in the face while he's on his watch. We'll see, though, if the Maestro works out any better for them, because, of course, then they don't have to play any more rounds.
So Crips has now gotten himself into Piano. Chaos are definitely wasting no time here. At 2 minutes and 5 seconds, they already have control of Piano. And the wall in front is close at hand, so they can definitely open that up. They should have the utility for it. You see the Thermite already getting close. Softball along the side here in case of a retake, but this is possibly going to be used by the... Oh, is that him? Oh, that's an Evil Eye.
Nicely
Evil
done.
Eye is set on purpose to destroy the... Oh, because it has splash damage when it comes to destroying utility. The Evil Eye, that is. So there you go. Secretly finds Stiggy. Great play here from Chaos. They're just finding what they need. The comeback might definitely be real.
A bomb has been located.
They have yet to open up the wall, though, into Freezer. And that is the difference between them and the way that we saw Vitality playing these attacks. But they have good control. Nice shield there played in the Freezer as well to play the Freezer a little more aggressively if it does get opened.
The shotgun is pointed right at the doorway there. So last time, Brigade wasn't able to do much. Shot it. The beautiful thing about the 870 is that it just reloads, rechambers a new round very quickly. So you can fire in relatively quickly. But hey, when you're running a shotgun like the Buck,
Oh, shotgun for shotgun.
2 kills out of it. Beautiful play with the Skeleton Key. Qual is last alive with Vito solo on HP. It doesn't matter, he's done the work. And it might be enough here for victory. Fire just right next to his face, but the Buck will survive. Now you have to play against the reinforcements that you yourself set up. There's no breach in the wall here because the wall next to it was left soft, and the Legion falls to his demise. Chaos collect round 11 and 6-5.
That's the second time now we've seen the Buck with the Skeleton Key just pushing in aggressively into Freezer or Bathroom and winning fights. It just seems like that is the play on these Freezer plays. Even if you don't open up the wall, just an aggressive push with the right timing, the right intel, there's nowhere for the defender to go. They can't escape to drop the hatch. They can't get into a position where they're not cornered at that point. And attackers are playing against that. And Vito has actually really been on point a lot of this match, especially on Buck on attack. He also had a very good Monday as well, so it's definitely really working out for Chaos to actually bring this back here. Reading attempt coming out here. This could be, well, this is going to be the last round either way, but this could be a tie coming out.
Attackers need to locate and
Vitality's got to be feeling pretty bad, though, after such a great start to suddenly be losing 3 rounds in a row. They were looking pretty good after 4 in a row for them.
Vitality had so much control throughout this entire match. I think just both teams on their attacking side are so good. I'm not sure if we have enough data on Kafe to call it a more attacker-favored map. I believe this is really down to these two teams being so effective on their attack.
I think some of it's good flank watch and things like that, too, because the roamers just aren't really able to fight back the way you would hope to on this map. And it's not even necessarily down to gridlocks or nomads. It's just good control. So map control really just kind of working out. Also, a lot of times it seems like intel is working out pretty well. Both teams must be droning decently because they're doing a good job of identifying where a lot of players are playing. But that also could just be down to positions being somewhat known or forced. Like, for example, what I was saying on Bar, you know, the people, the way they play in the Freezer, there's a little bit of predictability to that. And both these teams kind of know that and are playing against that, I think, fairly well in a lot of the predictability. And the funny part, too, is the predictability from the attackers is mostly there as well, though. Other than a bit of that horizontal push that we saw in the kitchen attack from Chaos, it's mostly been somewhat predictable attacks that you would see from these teams. Just defenders not always able to capitalize on that information. We'll see, though, how they do on this reading attack again. Being split up is not the greatest in trying to defend this. Last time, this was the first bomb site that Chaos was able to win on attack that started the 3-round streak that they got. And some of that was down to just being able to get that top floor control and turning it into that dining push. But there was a lot of trade backs from Vitality. That's what Chaos have to watch out for this time. They really got to play those 2v1s, get some manpower advantage, then have that top floor control to cover a plant. If they could do that combined with the gridlocks to hold things off, I think they can make it work here and potentially close this in a draw. But it's not going to be easy. Vito's going to have to continue to be on point. Qual did do a good job catching that. And that is one downside of Mozzie, is you can actually get jammed by your own mute jammers on the captured drones. Something that I don't know if everyone knows. It just happened to him.
Yeah, and I've actually never seen that.
It happened to me like 2 days ago, too.
You learn something new every day, right?
Yeah. That's the beauty of this game. Is
I'm not
all the time, too.
I'm not sure if that's intended or not, but here we are. Spark finds one more kill onto Vito, so 2 players lost as Vitality take a big lead at the halfway point in the round.
Ooh, there we go. Second one, but he's going to have to jump on that and make sure he doesn't move it into a mute jammer this time. Oh, the cross claymores and the tracks. No one's using red.
Oh my god.
Crips.
You're not coming through here.
No, it is. But at one impact might be able to take out most of that.
That's very true. But hey, Crips is downstairs, gets shot from Biboo as he peeks around the corner. Redgrove's already down on the floor, and there's a Thermite left alive. For how long? That's the question. Not for long. It's just a second as Biboo peeks around and finds one more and renewals. That's the round and the game done. Vitality, close.
Very important, though, because that is definitely a big point difference there, going from 1 to 3 points. Definitely puts Vitality in a much better position. You really do not want to be tying matches this late into the season, because you really start to stall yourself out and having any chance at LAN. But hey, Vitality and are staying very far away from relegation spot, at least.
Biboo firing up on all cylinders, as is tradition. 16 kills up on the board.
I mean, Vitality definitely deserved that win, but Chaos, kudos to them for a very good pushback. It was just that last round, unfortunately, that cost them, and some good plays, but ultimately Vitality, I think, adapted a bit to some of those losses they had, because that was the first bomb site that they lost, and so then they were able to adapt back on the round that mattered most there.
Yeah, I mean, 7-5, it's a victory for Vitality, but it was hard fought. Chaos really put up the rounds, as you say, on the second half on their attacking side. But unfortunately, 7-5 still means you get 0 points out of it.
To be fair, this is the 3rd loss now for Kafe, for Chaos, so this might not be the map for them anymore. I mean, it was 4-7 against them the last 2 times they played it. So now it's, at least they got one more round this time. 5-7, so.
Let me check one thing. What was the aggregate between Vitality and...
Vitality's only played it twice as well, but they lost it versus Empire and I think one against Penta, but I didn't have this.
So Vitality beat Chaos 7-5 the first time, and now they beat them 7-5 again.
Yep.
So both games were pretty close. I wonder what the first map was between them. I'm always curious about this.
So much curiosity.
They played Consulate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a great game. I think Stiggy really showed up as one of his... I think it was his first or second game with the team. This is right before DreamHack Valencia, June 28th. So...
And that was, it was where we were like, okay, Stiggy was a good fit for this team.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see with the performance here, kind of really putting it up closer to Biboo. You still need to frag in this.
I'm impressed because Vitality are playing a bit like they used to, but with much better time management. You know, they're getting it, and they're doing that very coordinated, kind of just bulldoze through the map on those attacks, but it's not getting down to these desperate seconds to plant. We're not seeing this constant, like, 10 seconds left frag fest that we used to see, and I think this is really good for Vitality because they are good at that steamroll. It was just the time management was the only thing that hurt them on it before.
Yeah, so right now the big questions are, why did you have one wall that was soft downstairs in the freezer, the kitchen, and is it really the map that's attacker-sided, or is it just you just know how to play against them, and they do?
Maybe you'll get to ask Biboo's dad. See if he knows.
Yeah, we're waiting on our interview here, so we should be going to that in just a bit. Still no sight of Biboo or his father, who I am assured is a great man.
Guest appearance. Special guest cameo.
That clip went so many places. It was like on Twitch fails. It was like on so many different spots. Like, okay, I guess.
You know, it's I'm sure it was fun for his dad as well. Who's like, there's like 10,000 plus people watching me right now. Oh,
Well,
gonna be fun.
actually, like hundreds of thousands after it if you look at the VOD and at
Yeah,
some
it's true.
YouTube collections and everything.
Well, either way, though, that was a Vitality that we were expecting, but I think Chaos performed a little bit better than maybe I expected, and some of that was due, again, to Vitalin, who had a good Monday, and I think a good day today as well. It just wasn't enough as a whole team. Some of that due to early deaths from Crips and Secretly, though. I feel like those two need to be careful on their early defensive rounds. Either play some different operators or play a bit differently. Maybe it was just good droning from Vitality that was catching them off, but they were also losing gunfights. I mean, twice Crips, it was just through a door. They were able to anticipate him, but also 2 of those kills on Secretly trying to defend Christmas, that was not the play. Maybe someone else needed to do it, or maybe he needed to be a different operator to be doing it, but just not winning those gunfights because Vitality was coming 2-3 people strong on those. And I mean, there was also the first one, he was fighting, trying to shoot down Red Stairs, did get the 1 kill, but he just had no idea there was someone to the left of the breach that whole time, and just fighting these kind of blindly. I realize he's trying to slow them down, but it's not slowing them down.
Yep.
It's at best getting a trade, but you're not really slowing them down. And so some things like that, some small mistakes, ultimately I think are part of what cost them the loss, because they just lose manpower early and Vitality play off that so well.
Yep. Well, that said, let's have a quick chat with Vitality and a bit of interview with Biboo. Hey, here we go. Bonsoir.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Bonsoir. I'm good. Very, very exciting to win and proud of our team. So I'm good.
Yeah, congratulations again here on your victory versus Chaos. A few questions that I have for you. First of all, I want to get very technical. There was one round where you were playing downstairs in kitchen. The freezer in the back was only half reinforced. The second part of it was left soft still. Was that planned? And if so, what was the whole plan around it?
Like we can see, it was planned. Obviously, it was not a mistake from us. We made a rotation all in the soft wall to try to have a more possibility to move between the site and watchsters. We can also from above, we know that the floor can be breached in fireplace to see the fridge. So yeah, it was all planned and it worked well. So because we win the round. So
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Second question: do you think that the reason why you were both winning so many rounds on the attack comes down to the map and how it is, or is it just that both teams know how to read the other when they're playing on attack?
I think both teams have really good gunfighters, so it's helped a lot. And on Kafe, especially when you are playing only with one breacher, and on cocktail side especially too, you need to win your gunfight at the end. Even we don't have IQ available now because they ban it. So you have so much information in defense. You can have Maestro, you can have Echo and Valkyrie, even Mosey. So at the end you can't plant and try to just plant in 5v5 or 4v4. You need to push and get the kills. We did it. They did it well too. So I think we have pretty good gunfighters, and it's helped a lot on these special actions.
Yeah, it definitely has shown. So it's not really the map that's playing into it, more so just adapting to one another. In general, the match was close, but what happened, how you started to lose your advantage? Because you went into the second half with a massive lead and even were close to winning it so many times in a row on match point. Was there any point where you realized, okay, here's our failure, we need to fix it? And how did it take that long?
Yeah, we were up 6-2, I think, after 2 rounds in defense, and we were close to win it because I think the last was on reading was the 2v2. I get one, I get killed, and really clutch it. So it was really close. And after they play well on the kitchen defense, they read us well. They just try to get Spark alone. If they kill them, they take the VIP control, and after they just play well on this attack. And after it was cocktail one, and they just push. We were not ready to their push, and it was a little bit messy. But at the end, when we come 6-5, we said, okay, guys, we just need to calm down, take a breath, and just focus on what we need to do and what we are gonna do to win this round. And it's worked well because at last round we get at least maybe a 4 perfect round. Not perfect round because one
It was
died,
like a
but
4v1 in the end.
Yeah,
and you
yeah. So we were pretty ready to this attack. On the first reading, it was like we did pretty much the same,
Mhm.
but they just like creeps just go on site, and we know about it, but it just do creep things sometimes and go on site, get 2 kills. Oh fuck, guys, sorry,
Yeah.
but it's too good. But no, we just fixed it at the last round, and it worked. So pretty
Sometimes
good,
it
pretty happy.
happens, right? You don't
Yeah.
expect someone to rush into sight. You know that they're in there, but they just shoot you before you're able to do anything with it. And that's what you
Yeah.
were talking about before. The gunfights sometimes really do decide the rounds and the momentum of them. But anything you'd like to say to all the fans out there for Vitality, Biboo?
So thanks to all the fans who supporting us every time, like even from on Monday when we play like very, at least very bad, very coppers. We can we can say that, but Navi was very good. It's not like I'm saying they would play bad, but we were very bad. They play good. They prepare well. So I think we just react in a good way to this lost Monday. So just happy to do that. Thanks for the support, and see you Monday against G2, I think. So
Yeah,
it
that's
will be a pretty good match.
That's a pretty big game. We'll see. With your victory today, maybe G2 will be able to defeat Empire later, and you'll get even closer together. Who knows? You're not out of Japan just yet. Same goes for G2. So that play on Monday is going to determine quite a bit. Again, Biboo, thank you very much for the interview. Congratulations on your victory against Chaos. Kafe Dostoevsky 7-5. We'll see you on Monday. Bonne nuit. Bye-bye.
See you. Bonne nuit.